continue to bring you the latest on the First Alert Weather Day for Monday and when we can expect rain as we head into the first week of April. And with the pesky pollen in the air, we're on your side with tips from experts on how you can combat your springtime allergies.
Plus, we're headed to the classroom where we meet our newest junior weather watchers.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And welcome into Weather Extra. We've got warm temperatures, we got baseball, pollen in the air. It's that time of year, right?
It is. It is springtime, y'all.
Still beautiful out there. If you have plans this evening, it looks great. But hey, Wes, we got some things to track for the weekend.
Yeah, watching the weekend, watching early next week. We've been talking about it. Still have a First Alert Weather Day on Monday. It looks a little better for early Monday.
Yes.
I will say that. It's trending the right way. Let's hope that continues. Let's show you the latest on this and what you can expect right now. First up, live look from Northport. We have 78 degrees. Notice some clouds out there. We're going to stay dry, even though those clouds will start to increase across the area. We have scattered storms coming up for this weekend, and we've been talking a lot about Monday. It's a First Alert Weather Day, but I don't want us to sleep on Saturday and Sunday because there will be a chance for some scattered thunderstorms, and with the kind of instability that's not far away, we'll need to keep an eye out for maybe a strong afternoon storm there Saturday as well as Sunday. So watching for that possibility, but I do think Monday mornings when the more organized risk happens, that main line that's going to be moving south, that's what we're watching into early next week. So that's why Monday's a First Alert Weather Day. Timing wise, not a lot of change based on our thoughts from yesterday. Models really locking in on morning Monday. Now you're going to hear a lot about severe weather threat to the north and west on Sunday because there will be some active weather that's going to be well northwest of Alabama Sunday, but it's into Monday morning when what's left of that system starts to move our way. And we'll have to watch. Typically this time of year, those morning events can crank out quite a bit of a gusty wind, some large hail. We'll need to watch for the tornado risk, even though it's early in the day, but the model data is suggesting that the instability may back off some during the morning. Let's hope that that continues to trend that way. Now this is Sunday at 10 a.m., but notice back to the west, we're seeing that building instability. So it's there, that storm energy. So even though Sunday, we're not expecting those storms to reach us until later at night, we'll need to watch in case there is an isolated storm or two that may try to develop back to the west with that instability. But watch what happens here Sunday night. There's 10 o'clock. And again, we mentioned 1 o'clock in the morning when this starts to reach us. Notice how that backs off. And we really see it start to ramp up again down in the South Alabama during the afternoon. So that's why I think during the morning we could see that risk lessen. Still need to monitor and still need to be alert in case we do have some severe storms there. But as we move along, looks like after Monday we could see some more stormy weather around the middle of the week. But here's the outlook I put together. And again, Monday morning, northern areas at greatest risk, and it will gradually lessen, not zero. We need to be alert, but it is trending a little better there for the morning. And then as you can see there later in the day, that risk starts to ramp up again down into South Alabama. But meteorologist Lauren Linehan on standby right now to walk us through the data. And again, Lauren, we need to watch Saturday and Sunday for that threat.
Yeah, that's right, Wes. Now, initially, it looked like mainly just showers later in the day on Saturday, but we want to watch for any potential storms that potentially could become on the strong side that night. So I wanted to show you some of our latest high-resolution data from one of our in-house models here. This is showing Saturday at 11 a.m. and shows most of us still dry. I'm not saying Saturday or Sunday is going to be a washout by any means, but there could be that opportunity for showers, potentially some storms in the mix as well. So as we go forward in time on Saturday, it still looks primarily like that best chance to see a shower or storm is going to be across West Alabama. So if you're somewhere like Anniston, Clanton, Gadsden, could end up staying dry. But as we get into Saturday night, we could see that potential for more showers to move in. And again, possibly an isolated storm threat. But then you start off Sunday morning with the possibility of some scattered rain and storms, and potentially that could linger into the afternoon, early afternoon hours. But as we've been talking about, we have to look at these severe ingredients. And one thing we've noted with these systems that are going to be coming through, these opportunities for rain and storms, sometimes it doesn't quite line up with where it needs to be. So you have ingredients that are available at certain points, but then are the actual rain and storms around at that point? Not necessarily. So that's why this is kind of a tricky forecast. Here we are Monday morning at 4 a.m. and this is showing the EHI, which is the Energy Helicity Index. What in the world did she just say? Well, it's Weather Extra. We're giving you that little extra something, right? So we're looking at the wind shear and the instability in the atmosphere, that storm fuel and that difference in wind speed or direction with height. So you'll notice at 4 a.m. on Monday, it still looks like the majority of that greater fuel would be to the south of us. And then potentially as we go forward in time, still those greatest ingredients to the south. So what I think we really need to watch Monday night would be the potential for some more robust storms. I said Monday night, Sunday night into Monday morning. That's when we want to watch for that potential for some storms to the northwest that could potentially become more robust. So we're going to keep an eye on things for you. But in the meantime, to check in now on some of those severe weather safety tips, as we could potentially see a few storms across our area, we're going to check in with meteorologist Tania Michelle. Tania, I know it feels like we just had event after event after event, but we can never say it enough, right?
No, we never can say it enough, and we can never be over-prepared, okay?
Exactly.
I say be over-prepared rather than under-prepared. We don't want you to be caught off guard.
Very true.
Okay, let's talk about what they need to do to continue to stay prepared throughout this spring severe weather season. Well, number one, you need to make sure you have some kind of weather radio. A NOAA weather radio is a great tool to have. Number two, that First Alert Weather app will give you notifications, even if it's not a severe weather day, of just when heavy rain and lightning is near you. Number three, anytime you're under a severe weather day, or a First Alert Weather day is what we like to call it, you want to make sure you keep those devices charged so you can get those necessary updates. And number four, always secure those loose outdoor items, because hey, listen, when those winds pick up and we say the potential for damaging wind gusts, it's nothing to play with. But one thing you can always do is, like I mentioned, having the First Alert Weather app. You can scan the QR code right here that you see on your screen. That will give you access to get alerts where you are, hour-by-hour forecast updates. It also uses your pinpoint location, live radar, and you can use the app to submit your weather photos. It's a win-win and a great tool to have all the time. Well, with pollen levels continuing to rise, many of you may be dealing with runny noses and watery eyes. The Alabama Department of Public Health says that medicines such as Allegra, Claritin, and I know how to say it, Zyrtec, that's how you say it, could offer some relief. Experts say people who notice more severe symptoms like post-nasal drip and dark under eyes may need to visit the doctor though, maybe even that nose and that throat doctor. Dr. Wes Stubblefield with ADPH says allergists can do testing to pinpoint which allergens are causing you specific problems.
It can be either skin test, it can be blood test, it can be a combination of skin and blood tests. And then also treatment may focus on desensitizing you to a particular, what you know what it is. It is possible in some cases to desensitize you to specific allergens using things that you may put under your tongue. And then also just making sure that you are on the right medications.
And if your allergies are severe enough, you may want to consider getting allergy shots. Oh, not fun. But be sure to, though, speak with your primary care doctor about that, and hopefully they can give you some more tips on how to really deal with those pollen issues. Well, in 30 seconds, we talk more about what you can expect for the final weekend of March, and we're going to take you beyond the atmosphere to the science behind space forecasting in your Degrees of Science. We'll be right back. Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Listen, we know we have rain and storms for the weekend. It may not be the best time to enjoy the fair. And I know it's still spring break. So you know what day you can enjoy that fair? Take your kids out to Pelham, the Oak Mountain State Fair Park tomorrow. Tomorrow evening looks great. If you didn't plan that into tonight's plans, Friday looks like a good time to do it. Now, it may be packed, so just going ahead and give you that first alert. But temperature is great. By 5 o'clock, low 80s Friday. 7 p.m., we're seeing mid to upper 70s, low 70s by 9 p.m. And I believe the fair closes on Friday somewhere around 10 to 11. So staying warm through at least late Friday night. And again, that's in Pelham, Alabama, and it opens up at 5:30. Great outdoor event to get you and your kiddos on some rides and enjoy some good old fair food. Lauren.
Oh yeah, it's me. I could go for a corn dog right now. Well, taking you beyond the atmosphere to a stunning sight, new images from the James Webb Space Telescope showing auroras around Neptune for the first time. These images could not be seen by earlier telescopes or spacecrafts. In a study published on Wednesday in the journal Nature Astronomy, scientists say unique auroras are visible on either side of Neptune's equator. This discovery will allow scientists to study aspects of Neptune that have previously been out of reach. And this comes as we here on Earth have been seeing a few northern light shows ourselves, even here in Alabama, but mainly due to solar storms, which also had impacts on satellites and technology. Meteorologist Brady Taylor speaks with a forecaster from the Space Weather Prediction Center about what space weather is exactly and what goes into forecasting solar storms.
What exactly is space weather?
It's really what's taking place in the sun 93 million miles away, what's going on in that huge vacuum of space between the sun and the earth, and ultimately at here and around our planet, because space weather does affect our way of life, especially in the forms of technology that we rely upon so much in today's world.
So you work with the Space Weather Prediction Center. What exactly is your role when it comes to forecasting and preparing for these space weather events?
And we are the nation's official source for space weather forecasts and information, watches, warnings, and alerts, that kind of thing. We have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation as part of it, because the sun can do something at any time, regardless of whether we're in solar maximum like we are now or in the deeps of solar minimum. The sun can still provide activity, which can be quite significant, and in the worst case scenario, really be quite dramatic or catastrophic to some of the infrastructure that we rely upon today.
What exactly causes one of these solar storms to happen?
There's other things that can cause them, but coronal mass ejections are the main feature. And they are explosive releases of billions of tons of solar material and a strong localized magnetic field that stretches out into space all the way to Earth. That's what causes a geomagnetic storm. That's what can impact a wide variety of our technologies, from satellites in space and their operations, to communications, to GPS accuracy, to currents building up on the electric power grid, which is really what our country is concerned about.
How far out in advance can y'all start forecasting a potential geomagnetic storm heading towards the Earth?
Yeah, we focus on 1 to 3 days in advance. So our forecast is a 3-day forecast, but we do look ahead out 7 days for some of our core partners like the Air Force. But the interesting thing about space weather is forecasting space weather is extremely hard, very hard, because we don't know oftentimes when something's about to happen. Like, we don't know that a CME is about to blast from the sun. We don't know that a solar radiation storm is going to let loose and fling its particles to Earth. We don't know that a solar flare is about to blast the spectrum of energy that we measure and affect communications. Some we get a little bit more lead time and we can put out warnings for, and some we just can't. We can only alert when they begin to happen.
Hey, I don't know about the sun letting loose and flinging its particles to Earth, but hey, still ahead, we bring you more on the First Alert Weather Day Monday and take you back down to the Georgia coast, where they're helping save our planet with the help of a few special shells. We'll be right back.
So the We Recycle Shell initiative is a new partnership between UGA Marine Extension and Georgia Sea Grant, Shell to Shore, and the Coastal Resource Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. And we work as partners to get oyster shells back to the coast so that they can be returned to the environment for reef restoration.
Certainly something I think when you're sitting in a restaurant, you don't think about potentially the stress that these oyster populations are under. Tom, can you tell us more about the oyster populations in Georgia?
And welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Still some nice weather for this evening. All this green on the radar, that's just ground clutter. But we could actually see some scattered showers and storms as early as Saturday. Let's check out some data here coming in. This is some of the new high-resolution guidance. We're starting to see this data, and as we gather more, especially through tomorrow, it's going to tell us a lot more about what's coming up for Sunday and into Monday and next week. But notice Saturday morning by 11 o'clock, I think as early as 6 or 7, West Alabama. You probably have some big plans there Saturday morning. Just know that there could be some morning showers, but that chance for rain is going to go up during the day. There will be scattered showers, especially into the afternoon, possibly a thunderstorm. This one model is showing around 7 o'clock, a storm possible around Hamilton. And with these scattered storms Saturday and even into Sunday, that instability really ramps up back to the west of Alabama. We'll need to keep an eye on some of these as they move into the state. Maybe some gusty winds. Can't totally rule out a hail producer, but certainly don't want us to sleep on Saturday and Sunday with respect to an isolated strong thunderstorm. Just make sure you have the weather app nearby. There will be plenty of breaks, not a total washout. Someone had just asked me about Monster Jam coming up on Saturday, and listen, there's a chance we could catch some breaks in the afternoon, but just know it's kind of scattered. You know, we're getting into that time of the year. You'll want to just watch the app as some rain could track north of where you are. I mean, that's the kind of setup we're seeing Saturday and Sunday, but notice Sunday by this is actually overnight. So overnight into early Sunday morning, maybe a few showers around, but Sunday during the day. I mean, this is showing during the morning some scattered areas of rain possible. Again, not every location seeing rain, but it's going to be hit or miss during the day. The time that we're concerned about for the First Alert weather day or more impactful storms would be early Monday morning. Let's go over to some of the forecast data. You can see that this moves in early in the day, and I've actually highlighted areas to the northwest for that greatest risk. And again, we'll be watching that down into South Alabama by Monday afternoon, so that risk will lessen as those storms move south the way it looks right now. But again, we need to watch for the possibility of a severe storm with some damaging winds, a tornado threat, maybe some large hail. Also, Wednesday into Thursday and next week, looks like some scattered storms come back. So we get into April, we have more of those April showers and scattered storms. Again, it looks like next Wednesday, so don't put away the umbrella. We'll be talking a lot more about that long-range rain chance coming up. How about some weather in the classroom? And today, I was in Panther territory over in Welborn, Alabama, and visited the third graders there, and you'll see the kids here in a few moments. There you go, lots of junior weather watchers, and they were singing away. We had a lot of fun singing weather songs, and they worked through the activity book that we have at WBRC.com. So teachers, go to Weather in the Classroom, and you can find those activities and become a junior weather watcher. I want to thank Miss Price for the wonderful cookies, and they actually had a cake made, and we couldn't attend last time because we had a visit set up, and that was the week we had the severe weather, and we had to push the visit back, but we made it out there today, and it was just such a beautiful day for a weather visit. But hey, teachers, here's where you can register online. Go to our website. You can sign up to be a junior weather watcher, set up a weather visit with the team, and also you can sign up to color the weather.
Thanks, Wes. Looks like such a fun time there. Let's take you beyond the 7-day, looking at that temperature outlook. April 4th through April 10th. Looks like the West Coast dealing with below average temperatures, but it's different for much of the East Coast, and really more than half of the U.S. dealing with above average temperatures as we approach, I would say, just before we hit the middle of the month of April. Now, as far as rainfall, that might be a different story. It looks like we're going to see some more showers, possible thunderstorms into the first few days of April, the 4th through the 10th. So that's something to definitely look out for in the days ahead. That's, of course, the Beyond the 7-Day forecast. We're going to be taking a look at some of your weather photos when we come back after the break, and maybe another surprise. We'll see you here in just a bit.
Welcome back to Weather Extra. Now we travel over to the Peach State to learn about a new sustainability initiative to help better protect the Georgia coast. I spoke with Tom Bliss with UGA's Shellfish Research Lab and Aaron Arneson, a seafood specialist at UGA Marine Extension and Georgia Sea Grant, to hear about how restaurants are doing to prevent oyster shells from going from the table and directly into a landfill.
So the We Recycle Shell initiative is a new partnership between UGA Marine Extension and Georgia Sea Grant, Shell to Shore, and the Coastal Resource Division of the Georgia Department of Natural Resources. And we work as partners to get oyster shells back to the coast so that they can be returned to the environment for reef restoration.
Certainly something I think when you're sitting in a restaurant, you don't think about potentially the stress that these oyster populations are under. Tom, can you tell us more about the oyster populations in Georgia and how they've evolved over time?
Yeah, sure. So Georgia has a wonderful coastline. It's a short coastline, but we have very deep estuaries. We have a lot of salt marsh, about 350,000 acres of it here. And that estuary provides great habitat for oysters to live in. And in the early 1900s, late 1800s, oysters were over harvested. There was a lot of harvest that went on. Georgia actually led the nation in harvest at that time. And, since then, a lot of the popularity was in canned oysters. That all changed. And, harvest fell out of favor really because of over harvesting in the area. And since then, our population has rebounded. So we're fortunate where we are on the East Coast, but other areas are, not as well off. But to really help keep that foundation of the oyster population coming back, getting shell returned to the estuaries to provide habitat for new oysters to settle on is, a very important step. And it's a great way to engage the public to educate them more about oysters, where they come from, and really get them excited about the food they're eating.
And so someone may hear this and immediately think, oh, we're recycling oyster shells, so I'll just take my oysters from dinner and just go throw them back into the ocean. I assume it's not that simple. What is the process of recycling these oysters and the restoration process?
Yeah, so it's really a two-pronged process. The first part is working with groups that we're doing like Shell to Shore to get those oyster shells, but we don't want individuals just going out and throwing them back in without a process. So the first step is to hold them on land for 3 to 6 months at least to let them cure, which means, sit out in the sun and the weather so that any bits of oyster meat or other stuff that's on those shells, has a time to break down and not be a problem. And then the other aspect is that to put shell back into the marsh, you have to work with your state agency because permits are required to put shell into the marsh to make sure that nothing is going in there that shouldn't be put in.
It was so cool talking with them, and as a big tree hugger, I was like, what a great initiative. But they were telling me about oysters. Something I didn't know is that they're a keystone species, which means the environment that they live in depends on the abundance of those oysters. So if you have more oysters who are functioning, the environment, the ecosystem does better than it would otherwise. And those oysters are a natural barrier to sea level rise.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know there was a big impact, when Hurricane Michael moved through in Apalachicola and those areas, but we were just asking Tania, a big oyster fan.
I won't eat them, but hey, that means I'm leaving the oysters in the ocean.
Right, they said, thank you, Miss Tania.
They're doing exactly what they need to do.
Sustainability there.
Yeah, Tania's just trying to protect the Georgia coast, that's all.
Oh yeah.
Gotta admit, I'm a big seafood fan.
Me too. Yeah, Wes and I probably aren't.
Just save the shells next time, okay?
Yeah, hashtag save the shells, y'all.
See you tonight at 9.